So we're underway. Senegal in all green for the right to play either Nigeria or host Morocco in the final. And for the 6th time at the African Cup of Nations, it's Senegal against Egypt. And once again, it is hard to predict which one this way will go. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Yeah, it is. I think maybe player for player, you would say Senegal have the better team and the better depth. But when you've made an AFCON final 9 times looking for that illustrious 10th, I never think you can rule Egypt out, and I'm really impressed with them in the quarter-final in terms of didn't have much of the ball. I think only 30% possession. When they went forward, especially with Marmoush and Salah, they were very clinical, so we know they can score goals and it will always be dangerous.
Yeah, it was actually 29%, but really underlining your point that Egypt just have such a special bond with this Cup of Nations tournament, even when they're not at their best. And as we said in the quarterfinals, Mo Salah has been very eager to play down their chances all the way through this tournament. But you just can never quite rule them out. There's Papa Thiaw, the coach of Senegal, played in the 2002 semi-final for his country. They needed extra time to account for Nigeria, but did go on to the final where they lost to Cameroon. And Hossam Hassan, who won his final cap for Egypt as a player in that 2006 semi against Senegal. Egypt winning that day and the final against Ivory Coast that year, again on penalties. And you would imagine, Courtney, that both teams have done penalty practice aplenty this week in the build-up to this.
Yeah, you will do, and I think some people say you can't practice penalties under the same amount of pressure, and you can't, but I think practicing them, knowing exactly where you want to put the ball, that repetition. I used to be a striker that took penalties, and I think that repetition was always important, but you know, it's difficult then to account for the feeling, the atmosphere in the stadium, and your fears and your worries, and also the excitement, the potential of getting to a final.
Well, it's the Senegal fans getting excited at the moment as Iliman Ndiaye cuts in field. Out to the left, and Malik Diouf, left full-back from West Ham United, of course, in the English Premier League. And Egypt will be very quick to retreat in their defensive shape whenever Senegal get over the halfway line. They had to do it tough, though, didn't they, against Mali in the quarterfinals? That was not a straightforward tie for them. No,
it wasn't. And you know, sometimes it's a case of you might not always play at your best, but you've got to get yourselves over the line, and that's exactly what Senegal did in that situation. And Ndiaye coming up with the goods in the end, but this is going to be an interesting match. It's certainly a clash of styles where Senegal, they like to score goals, possess the ball, whereas Egypt are more direct, and they're going to have to break that Egypt shape down.
Offside flag. Sadio Mane. Veteran now at the age of 33, just going a fraction too early. 10 goals in 27 matches at this particular tournament. Mo Salah, his former Liverpool teammate, just one ahead of him with that goal in the quarter-final win over the Ivory Coast. Well, a bit of a mistake here by the Egyptian defence as they look to play out, but in the end there's no particular bother for them. And a potential issue here for Imam Ashur, who's gone down. Referee not particularly interested in his injury concern.
Surprised, because to me, on first view, and I could be wrong, but it looked like a head injury. Looks to be as well, and regardless of whether the referee thinks it's a foul or not, should be being stopped straight away when it's a head injury.
Well, he's still down. The aerial clash with Idrissa Gueye. I think it was the arm that came across from the Everton midfielder that caused that little issue for Imam Ashur. Little shrug of the shoulders from Idrissa Gueye, saying nothing to do with me.
It certainly wasn't a foul, I agree with him on that. As I say, just surprised that the referee doesn't stop the game quicker for a head injury, but going back to that high press from Senegal, I think that's where Egypt's got to be really careful. Got incredibly willing runners in that front line with Mane, Jackson and Dye, so they have to be careful they don't get caught.
Well, there's a handful of jersey. And immediately the yellow card pops up and out in the direction of Hossam Abdelmajid.
Oh, that's brave from the referee. It's an early precedent to set. I think, yes, there is a tug on the shirt, a big tug on the arm, actually, but when we look for that sustained contact, that's what the referees normally say, the Referees Association, and although he does tug there and pull, I think he lets go rather quickly. So, unfortunately now, he's going to be treading a tightrope now for the next 85 minutes plus.
The interesting thing is, he was actually on a yellow card coming into this semi-final as well, but I wonder whether those yellows have been cancelled ahead of the final. So players can take part in the big showpiece event. Normally we get a little caption saying, we'll miss the next match. That didn't appear. Still a free kick for Senegal. And headed behind by Yasser Ibrahim for a Senegal corner.
It's going to be important today. Yasser Ibrahim was really impressed with him, actually, in the semi-final as well. It's the Ivory Coast. It's going to need to be every bit as good as that, and probably better today.
Well, there's the usual tugging and holding and pushing and shoving.
Always happens, but especially with the referee coming out with the card so early for something. Yes, it was a foul, but relatively innocuous. I think the players need to be very careful and be mindful about what they're doing.
The referee's gone and had a word. I don't think I've ever seen that work in a game of football at the top level. It just continues as soon as the referee moves away. And if you start brandishing yellow cards, it might stop it.
Exactly, it's one of my bugbears, I must admit. Either let them get on with it or start dishing out cards, because they'll soon stop doing it, or free kicks.
Well, Pierre Acho clearly keeping an eye on that particular one-on-one duel. All in readiness, eventually, for Malik Diouf's delivery from the corner, which is seen out of the near post by Imam Ashour. And then the shot from Habib Diarra was well wide.
Very poor in two instances, the initial ball across, and then, yes, the shot, but also the decision-maker from Diarra. It's so difficult to score from there. You've got Marmoush and others rushing out to try and close down. You just need to get that ball down and try and recycle it and start again.
Well, fair to say, Sunderland fans haven't quite seen the best as yet of Habib Diarra. Struggled with injuries, start of the Premier League season. Flicked forward by Idrissa Gueye. Iliman Ndiaye has won the throw for the Teranga Lions. A decision unsurprisingly disputed by Rami Rabia, who was one of the goal scorers in the quarters. That pulsating 3-2 win over the Ivory Coast, where Egypt had to absorb a lot of late pressure. But as we mentioned in that game, Courtney, when you've got the likes of Salah and Marmoush as your front two, you've always got half a chance, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. As long as you direct quickly enough with those balls, you know you've got, the pace, the skill, the ability and the willingness for those to latch on the end of it. But I think more than anything, I was so impressed defensively. Yes, I know they conceded 2 goals, but the way that the team set up and really dug in, that determination and resilience to get the win over the line really impressed me with Egypt.
Goalkeeper Mohamed Al-Shinawi urged to come and collect that one. And Egypt going long. They haven't seen a lot of the ball in these early stages. It's those sorts of releases from defence, maybe not from that particular sort of situation, that they're going to have to get right this evening to release the likes of Marmoush and Salah. This time they do pick out Mo Salah. And his pass was just a little awry of Marmoush.
I think he had more time than he thought, and Niakate there, I think he was poor in terms of initially he starts to go and then completely backs off Salah, gives him at least 5 yards. And yes, I know because it's Mo Salah, you don't want to get tight to him and get turned. He came off far too quickly there for me. He just needs to be in touching distance, and he was probably fortunate that Salah uncharacteristically gave that one away.
Well, sustained boos from the Senegalese fans, or those supported Senegal anyway. As Egypt had a sustained spell on the ball, and the attempted cross from Mohamed Hani gives Egypt a pretty good-looking situation. Diouf is hurt after making the block, perhaps with a part of the body that you don't want to.
Yeah, certainly. The unmentionables, isn't it? But sometimes you've got to put your body on the line to protect your team, even when it hurts.
And it certainly did, by the looks. Why do we always laugh or smile when that happens?
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? It's awful, and you start with the wince, and then it turns into sort of a laugh and a wry smile, but certainly he's not laughing, is he?
Well, the fans have found their rhythm, if the game hasn't quite found its just yet.
It's not surprising. Semi-final, you know what's at stake, and sometimes you go into these knockout parts of competitions and the main aim is not to lose rather than go and win. That's why you see a lot of these knockout games end up going to penalties, because it's just nobody wants to lose and you don't want to take unnecessary risks.
Here's Mohamed Hani. Salah protecting the ball under pressure, at least initially, before Papagay intervened. Just went down too easily there, Salah. Mane gets the throw.
Strange one from Salah there. I mean, there was a bit of contact, but the theatrics in it, that's what catches the eye of the assistant and the referee in terms of then not giving the foul because it's too dramatic.
Hossam Abdelmajid with that early yellow card. It's a long time to be on a caution, and his teammates quickly surrounded the referee and were saying, look, it's only his first foul, but fouls are fouls. The referee feels it warrants a yellow. There's no such thing as being too early.
Yeah, I agree in that sense. I think it was a yellow card in terms of the actual foul itself? No, I don't, but everyone on the pitch has got to be watching themselves, because now the consistency of the referee will be looked at, and everything that's like that will be probably given a caution, so everyone's got to be careful.
Oh, Jackson got heavy contact there as he turned the ball around the corner and went to set off in pursuit of a return pass. Absolutely smashed into Hossam Abdelmajid. Both players hurt.
Yeah, it's a tough one, that, but certainly isn't a foul. Abdelmajid, he can't get out the way. It's just that little blind turn. Jackson outside of the foot, and you see what he's trying to do, trying to flick it round and come out the other side, but runs into Abdelmajid.
Interested in your thoughts on Nicholas Jackson. He's done okay at Bayern, 5 goals in 18 games. I don't know whether there's a huge willingness for them to keep him. New manager at Chelsea, of course, as well. Very interesting few weeks coming up for him. Yeah,
it's interesting as well, because Rosenior has come in. He said he's going to speak to Axel Disasi and Raheem Sterling that have been out in the cold and not training with the first team. So I'm sure he'll give Nicholas Jackson, at whatever point it may be, the same grace, but I think he potentially surplus to requirements for Chelsea, so it's the want of whether it be buy-in to keep him or to go elsewhere.
I'm sure he won't be short of suitors. There we go, Senegal with 59% of the ball. Iliman and Dye around the fullback. And soon out for a throw by Abdul Majid.
What Egypt do really well there is get numbers back, so in the box it's 4v2, so it's difficult for Ndiaye to pick someone out.
Diatta's cross. A little bit strong for Mane. Oh dear. That didn't quite work out, did it?
No, you can forgive him for the first one. It's difficult. He gets a little bit of a touch on it and takes the heat off the ball, and you think he's going to protect it and come out with it there, but he just gets his feet mixed up, doesn't he?
Touch by Salah. Ashur, oh, and Marmoush clipped. Is this going to be a card? For Kalidou Koulibaly it is. Well, you asked for consistency, Courtney. It appears the referee is providing it.
It has to be, and for more than one reason. Yes, in terms of that level of consistency, but also he's in a really good position here, Marmoush. Not quite last man Koulibaly, so that's why it's not a red, but Marmoush gets on the end of that ball with how good he is. Now, with the pace that he's got, it's a real dangerous position, so exactly right from the referee, in my opinion, with that. As well, that's where I think Egypt are so dangerous, when they can turn over rather the ball high up the pitch, and then it's quite direct, one or two passes, and they can get in quickly.
So Koulibaly follows Hossam Abdul Majid into the book, and there we go. The caption says he misses the next match. So if Senegal were to win through to the final, they would have to play without their captain, who of course has had disciplinary trouble at this Cup of Nations already after being sent off against Benin. Missed the win over Sudan in the round of 16. All that's though for the future.
I think that's why he was trying to fight his corner so vehemently there. I mean, you'll never see a referee change their decision, but I think it's the knowing, isn't it, that what that means from now, and he was trying to get that decision rescinded.
Well, Egypt were pretty good with set pieces in the quarters. That one not floated quite far enough by Marmoush, and the whistle has gone in favour of Senegal. Teranga Lions aiming for their third final in the last 5 editions. Winners, of course, in 2021, runners-up in 2019. In fact, Algeria, the only team to beat them twice in 90 minutes since the 2015 tournament. It's quite a record they've got. And the ball breaks here for Nicholas Jackson. Good effort. Tried to generate a fair bit of power, and in doing so lost a bit of direction.
Yeah, and I just think you see, as he hits the ball, he's starting to lose balance, and that's why it flies over the bar, but he's just getting a sighter, isn't he, early on in the game.
Sent long by Foutou. Score of that rather unfortunate goal in the quarterfinals. Out rather awkwardly off Rami Rabia. And now Senegal have got an injury concern over their captain. Problem with the groin, perhaps, for Kalidou Koulibaly.
Yeah, he's not had a good last 5 minutes, has he?
And one or two concerned faces amongst those wearing the Senegalese shirts. Such an important player for his experience and his leadership defensively for the Teranga Lions. There we go, that's where he felt it.
It's innocuous, isn't it? Something of nothing, which is then always more worrying when a player pulls up under little contact.
Second semi-final to come live tonight on E4 from 7:30 p.m. The hosts Morocco up against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And more football to come on 4 on Sunday from 1:30 p.m. Women's FA Cup, Arsenal taking on Aston Villa. Here we've just had that one real sight of goal, I guess, via Nicholas Jackson for Senegal. Very even opening 20 minutes. Papa Thiaw's team with more of the ball. Hossam Hassan is used to that. That will be of no concern to him.
It's game over, I think, for Koulibaly.
Looks like it, doesn't it? No good, little shake of the head. And they are going to have to make a change early, Senegal. Mamadou Sarr is one option. He's been struggling with injury, hasn't played an awful lot at this Cup of Nations, but it is clear that Kalidou Koulibaly, now playing his club football in Saudi Arabia, of course, with Al Hilal, is not going to play any further part, and it does look like it's going to be Mamadou Sarr, who plays for Strasbourg, although officially employed by Chelsea. So Koulibaly makes his exit, not just from tonight's game, but from this African Cup of Nations as well. That yellow card sustained early on. Whether he's fit or not for any final that Senegal might make, Kalidou Koulibaly will not be a part of it.
And it's a shame for him personally, but also when you lose your captain, it's always a big loss, not just for the person as a player, but the leadership within the team.
Here's the new man, Mamadou Sarr, still only 20. And said in the media a couple of months ago, he still has big ambitions of making it at Chelsea. Says he wants to be Chelsea's Van Dijk. And I'm presuming he means Virgil and not Dick.
Well, it's a big stature to live up to, isn't it? But can't help but admire the confidence.
Well, he's got the chance to be Senegal's Koulibaly for the next 75 minutes. And if he manages that, that will be praise enough. That's the state of play as we pass the midway point of the first half. Neither goalkeeper really overworked as yet.
There's really a lot been going on in the boxes, and again, not surprising, mentioned it a little bit earlier, but semi-final, you don't want to take a risk too early, you don't want to get caught out, and it's working yourself into the game. So I'm not surprised that in the first 25 minutes we've not seen a lot of goal-mouth action.
First touch of the ball for Mamadou Sarr. Sent forward by Edouard Mendy. Mane. Oh, he's done well. Great feet from Sadio Mane.
It's great feet and he does well, but in an ideal world, you want him higher up the pitch, influencing the play. And Egypt box, you need to certainly get him higher.
Given away by the Teranga Lions, only momentarily. Idrissa Gueye wins it back. Iliman Ndiaye on the move. Referee getting out of the way. Malik Diouf pushing up on the left-hand side. Here he is, can he find the right cross? Not really the right elevation. Comfortable for Yasser Ibrahim. The last 5 meetings between these two have either ended goalless on 2 occasions or 1-0 on the other 3. 2 for Senegal, 1 for Egypt. So no surprise this has been so tight early on. Here's Mane. Yasser Ibrahim felt that should have been a throw for the Pharaohs. Papagay forced to turn back.
A good illustration there of how compact Egypt are making it when they're out of possession. So difficult for Senegal to then be able to penetrate.
Here's Iliman Ndiaye. Crepin Diatta has gone beyond him. A little cut back into the box. Hassan Abdelmajid is there. Nice spin by Papagay. Iliman Ndiaye. Diatta. That's the right idea from Ndiaye. Rami Rabia is a hard man to get around.
But you see, breathing heavy there, Rabia, and that's what it will do to you physically in terms of Egypt having to sit in to concentrate, to defend, even though you've not got much of the ball. And you see it now, Senegal are trying to find different ways to penetrate. They've been quite happy in possession, trying to do anything too differently, but now you see in the last few minutes, runs from a little bit deeper, a few flicks and tricks, trying to catch Egypt out, so they're trying to unlock the puzzle.
Well, Egypt yet to register a shot. Senegal with just the 2. It's been pretty slim pickings for aficionados of attacking football. But a long way to go in Tangier. And we rather suspected it might be like this.
Yeah, the fear, there's 2 sides of it when you're in this stage of a tournament. There's, you know that you're so close, but also there's the fear that if you make a mistake, then you're going home, so there's no room for error.
Nobody wants to be that one player who makes that mistake. Here's Omar Marmoush, who got Egypt off to a flyer in the first minute of the quarter-final. Hamdi has made a run down the right. Appeals for offside. Heeded by the referee's assistant. A little fist pump from Malik Diouf. One to the defender.
Yeah, just about. I think he gets it right, but you see with Diouf, he drops his line just a little bit more than everyone else, and probably a little bit fortunate there.
Beautiful setting in the northern part of Morocco. And this spaceship type arena. host to this first semi-final. Nigeria and Morocco to come later. Here's Mo Salah, hustled out of it by Idrissa Gueye.
It's brilliant work from Gueye, because again, I understand that they don't want to get turned, but I think the defence are giving Mohamed Salah too much space, so it's good to have Gueye there when he does turn to put him under pressure.
That was the Merseyside derby in miniature there, wasn't it? Gueye against Salah. No way forward for Imam Ashour. And back through Moussa Niakhaté. Diatta's touch. Yeah, and the game just a little bit stuck in neutral at the moment.
I think Egypt are almost quite happy with this, though. They're used to being without possession. They're waiting for that moment where they can hit Senegal on the break, waiting for a mistake.
Sadio Mane trying to make things happen. Shot from a long way out. Well, it's on target, at least, from Habib Diarra. Nothing too much to really concern Mohamed El Shenawy.
It's a long way out. The deflection takes all the power off it anyway, but on reflection, if he had that one back, he certainly wouldn't have made that decision.
Away goes Mane once again. Looking to get the better, or at least get the touch of Hossam Abdelmajid. He wants the corner. Might have to settle for the throw. Here's Papa Gueye. Well, again, it's on target, and again, it's rather lukewarm.
Yeah, although I don't mind that in the box, especially around bodies, because you never know where the deflection might take it. Has to do better to beat the goalkeeper, there's no doubt about that.
Well, that's 4 shots now for Senegal. Starting to build their case. Egypt yet to register. And this is Crépin Diatta. Niakhaté. Papa Gueye. Into that little channel for the run of Nicholas Jackson. And Jackson, for a moment, looked like he was going to wriggle through. Egypt quick to close the door. Marmoush. Well, his appeals are going to fall on deaf ears as well.
Again, whether you agree with it or not, you can't fault the referee. Similar challenges, really, in the space of probably 10 seconds of each other. Doesn't give either, so certainly being consistent in what he is and isn't giving.
And so we're back to the usual pattern. Senegal in possession, looking to find a way through. The ball over the top is wandering towards goal. Sadio Mane too close to El Shenawy. Maybe not a bad tactic with the midfield often flooded.
It's definitely the right idea in terms of the ball. He was trying to find Jackson. It's just the fact that, see there, it takes a little deflection on the way in. It's good defending, but the idea of the longer ball, trying to miss out all the congestion, was the right one.
Well, this is a good run from Imam Ashour. That was the sort of ball that played in Omar Marmoush against the Ivory Coast. Not quite the same execution.
It was such a good ball, wasn't it, into him in the quarter-final and early on in the game. Fantastic finish from him, especially with only 4 or so minutes gone, but referee's courting some attention.
And Marwan Atiyah in particular unhappy with this. Hamdi Fati with the challenge, seemingly won the ball, maybe slightly over the top of the ball. That's the way the referee's seen it, giving Senegal a free kick.
Yeah, but I can see why the Egypt players are upset, because they're saying, look, we've won the ball, I'm not endangering an opponent. You're right, I think maybe the studs up has caught the eye of the referee.
I think when the studs go over the top of the ball, that's when it sort of borders into dangerous territory.
Yeah, and I think even if you're not endangering the opponent in that moment, there's the potential to, and I think that's the way that the referees see it.
Mamadou Sarr, early replacement for Senegal's injured captain, Kalidou Koulibaly. There we go, Senegal have strung the passes together far more effectively. No doubt they've been the more proactive team.
It's not a surprise. I think coming into this game, Egypt had made the least passes of the 4 teams left. So, again, they wait, they sit in, they bide their time. Try and let the fireworks flow with Marmoush and Salah.
Here's Iliman Ndiaye. Around one defender, but in doing so, he had to divert the ball rather closer towards another. Chipped forward by Mohamed Hani. Down goes ashore. Again, Egyptian appeals are waved away.
Starting to swing now, I think. Senegal's favour, the momentum just seemed to be adding up more so, but it's about their quality in the final third. It's all fair and well keeping possession, and they are looking more dangerous, but it's not really translating on giving the Egyptian goalkeeper too much to do.
Diouf, Mane. Diouf back in position on the left. Good angle for the cross and towards the near post. Good stretch from Hossam Abdelmajid. Senegal corner.
Left-hand side seems to be the way forward. Again, Nicholas Jackson in the middles, picking up the right positions, and it's a better ball into him than we saw maybe 5 minutes earlier from Mane, but defended really well, actually.
Malik Diouf sends up the signal. Easily away, though.
The corner's not quite hitting the mark at the moment.
Imam Mashour desperate not to give them another one, and he's drawn the contact. Easy decision for referee Pierre Acho.
Shaw does really well there. It's incredibly naive from Nicholas Jackson. A player of his experience should know better. Shaw is facing his own goal pretty much. He's got players up with him. Nicholas Jackson got teammates and just made it far too easy.
Now the Egyptian fans, not sure they're heavily outnumbered, but probably a majority in favour of Senegal in the stadium tonight. Maybe a few of the locals have thrown their lot in with the Teranga Lions.
It's always interesting, isn't it, in tournaments when that happens and who takes whose side.
Egypt come away with the ball. Mohamed Hani. Salah. That's good hustling from Malik Diouf. And Salah committed the foul in his frustration and attempts to win the ball back.
Teammates there, but certainly is a foul. You see Salah, he's protesting his innocence, but catches Mane. And by the way, before that, great work from Diouf, just to not get too carried away, but everyone else is getting carried away.
Aren't they just? The two benches in uproar. Tensions running high in Tangier. Papa Diop urging calm. And belatedly, Hossam Hassan as well. All fun and games on the sidelines.
There's always a potential with that happening as well when fouls are sort of made very close to the technical areas. It almost seems to spark the emotions even more. But you see there, left foot Salah into the right of Mane's. There's no doubt that it's a foul, and all's well and good in the end.
Well, a lot in the build-up has been about the two number 10s, Sadio Mane and Mo Salah. Not always the best of friends at Liverpool.
No, if rumours are to be believed, and I say that, we've not just seen the rumours, I suppose we saw the outbursts of it on the pitch. And, you know, I think football's interesting because I think from the outside everyone expects you know, to be best mates with your teammates, and that doesn't always happen. You fight and you don't necessarily always get along. But also, you know, that's a point of being an elite athlete and wanting to score goals, and there's more yellow cards being brandished.
Yeah, in the wash-up, Habib Diarra has paid the price for carrying on his protest a little too far, and he too would miss any final involving Senegal.
There's one thing to get a caution for a foul, but when it's for talking your way into the book, and especially when you miss a final, it's the more worse.
Talking of the cautions, I'd like to see clarification as well as to whether Hossam Abdul Majid will miss the final, because he got a booking early on, and according to my notes he was also carrying a yellow card, but there was no caption on the screen, so I did wonder whether they changed the rules, but then Koulibaly's yellow later on dispelled that notion.
So I'm sure there's someone keeping a track of it somewhere and will be totted up, but discipline, it's so important in the game. Look, emotions run high, and I've been there as a player, but the last thing these players want to do is not be taking part in the final, and now two Senegal players, if they get there, won't be doing so.
And all that, which took the best part of, what, 2 or 3 minutes to resolve, was from a fairly innocuous foul. It was a free kick, but nothing more than that.
That's the emotion, isn't it? And it's so important as a player to be as calm and as cool as possible, because if your emotions get the better of you, like we've seen now for Diarra, it can spell the worst.
Steered in behind beautifully. Mane trying to keep his balance and the ball in play. In the end, not quite able to do either.
It's a brilliant ball though, and yes, Ibrahim comes across. Great defending, but that ball down the left-hand side is increasing in frequency for Senegal because they've recognised it. It's a way to get in and make them look dangerous.
Last minute of the first half, there will be a bit to be added on for that lengthy stoppage. Also play stop for the Koulibaly injury as well. Ball breaks here for Omar Marmoush. Not seen too much of Egypt in the attacking third as yet, and we still haven't. been a rather stodgy first half, Courtney, in many respects.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it, that sort of all the action came from that little fracas in front of the benches, but aside from that, I would say it's been relatively tame. No one really wanting to take chances to try and score, and I appreciate that. I understand the point in the tournament where we are and what it means, but at some point, someone's going to have to take a risk if you want to make the final.
4 minutes to be added on. We're in the first of those now. And a set piece for Egypt, which, given how close half-time is, comes at a very interesting juncture of the game. Osama Hassan looks like he's on the dance floor, throwing shapes. Mo Salah. About to deliver. Rami Rabia up for this set piece. It goes all the way through. And a goal kick at the end of it. Sorry, Courtney.
I'm saying two reasons to be disappointed. First of all, Yasser Ibrahim, he should get something on this. But also, from a Senegal perspective, the defending is absolutely dreadful. So they should be unhappy with it, but actually very happy that they've got away with one there.
Die with Rami Rabia right on his tail. It's a clear push by Habib Diarra. All a bit stop-start.
Yeah, there's too many niggly fouls and naive fouls as well, but it is funny, it's interesting as a player when maybe you're nervous or you hype the game up to a certain extent, you end up doing silly things that even yourself, you stand there and you think, why have I done that? So the psychology and the adrenaline in the game, it can get to you at certain points.
Idrissa Gueye. Niakate. Patient build-up from Senegal. Back through Mamadou Sarr. You mentioned the word fear earlier on in the game. I think there's been a fair bit of that in the first 45. Players not quite willing to take risks.
Yeah, I totally understand it, and I've been there, but equally, you're going to have to take a risk at some point to go and win the game, and who's willing to do that?
Here's Nicholas Jackson. Rami Rabia not giving him a moment to settle.
Criticised Jackson earlier. I don't think he does too much wrong here, to be honest. It's the corner. Well, have a point.
Final seconds of, it's been a fairly attritional first 45. Or almost 49. Series of fouls and free kicks quickly taken this one. Nicholas Jackson. Iliman Ndiaye. Papagay. Diarra should get the corner, I think, yes, off Yasser Ibrahim. A late chance for Senegal before the half-time whistle, perhaps.
They have time to take it. That's the question, they need to get a shift on, but an incredible time in the game this would be for Senegal to score.
And Diouf, who's the regular corner taker, it's been waved away.
The referee's got that right.